omelette, egg surprise. You can even have them jazzy with some chili.
And snazzy.
Hello everybody, hello children. Welcome to this online field trip. I'm Sam and this is our guide for today. This is JP.
Hello.
Now today we're coming to you live from a packing centre which is in Witney in Oxford. We're here to learn all about a very tasty and very versatile type of food. Eggs, of course. JP, he runs a chicken farm where many of these eggs were laid. That sounds like a really exciting job, JP.
It's fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it. And yeah, most of the eggs I produce come into this packing centre. So my farm's in Hertfordshire. I've got 14,000 chickens that lay about 13,000 eggs a day. So it keeps us really, really busy down there. Yeah, and we lay these fantastic eggs you can see in front of us.
Wow, that's a lot of chickens and a lot of eggs.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think you're the perfect person to teach us today. So what are we going to learn while we're here?
Well, today we're going to look at the whole process. So we're going to talk about chickens, we're going to talk about eggs, we're going to talk about what we use these eggs for, lots of different sorts of eggs. And then we're also going to have a walk around here and look at the process in the packing station and just see how the eggs get taken from the farm through all this really fantastic stuff and end up in the egg boxes and then ultimately into the shops.
Really exciting, very exciting. Let's find out who we have taking part today then and joining us. Let's go to our first school, who is at Surrey Square Primary School in London. Hello children.
Good to see you, Aidan.
Fantastic, great to have you all taking part. Let's go to Downsbrook Middle School now in Worthing where Mrs Sharp's class is taking part. Great stuff. Let's go to St Anne's Denton Primary School now, who are in Manchester, where Miss Flint's class is taking part.
Hello, St Anne's.
Hi, children. And let's go over to Manor Green Primary School now in Manchester, where Mrs Metcalfe's class is taking part. Hello, everybody. Fantastic. And finally, we have to say a big hello to Russell Scott School as well, who are also taking part and watching and learning with us today. It really is going to be an exciting field trip.
Definitely.
I think we should start by finding out a little bit more about eggs, JP, as well. Is it mainly chicken's eggs that we eat in the UK?
Yeah, we do. So in the UK, 99.5% of all the eggs that we eat are chicken eggs, and we've got a huge array of them here. So they come in all shapes and sizes. So we've got large, medium, small. We also got some white ones here. Fantastic.
They look great. They really do look great.
Yeah, really, really lovely. They predominantly come from white chickens. So a lot of our eggs, white eggs come from white birds. Brown eggs lay the brown eggs come from the brown birds. Yeah, so yeah, lots of different chickens in the UK.
And eggs are really important to us in the UK, aren't they? We do love them.
We do. I mean, they're fantastic food, and you can use them so many different ways. We all know that you have your fried egg in the morning, and you know your omelettes and all that sort of stuff. So you can eat them, but they also get used in lots of different foodstuffs as well.
Yeah, so without eggs, we wouldn't be able to eat a lot of our really tasty things like cakes and pies and all that sort of stuff,
yeah.
would we?
All that lovely home baking.
Now, children, you may have already seen that we have some great resources and facts about eggs on the website. I know some of you have already been learning all about eggs by using them as well, and I do know that we have some experts over in Surrey Square Primary School. I'm sorry about that joke. So let's go over to Mrs Anderson's class now to find out what you've learnt.
I know what the yellow bit of the egg is called a yolk.
That's a great fact. So the yellow bit inside an egg, JP, is called the yolk.
It is indeed, and we can crack one out in a minute and have a look at that, can't we?
Fantastic. Yes, let's do that. Let's have another fact.
Eggs can be in different colours.
That's really good. So eggs come in different colours, JP.
They do, yeah, lots of different colours. We've got brown ones here, but we can see our white birds that lay white eggs, but we can get speckled eggs, and it all depends on the breed of chicken. So lots of different breeds of chickens, and they all lay very, very different eggs.
Do they taste different as well, JP?
Most of them do. It depends again where they stay. So if they live and they're outside a lot and eating things outside, then that can change the flavour of the egg. But yeah, lots of different sorts of eggs do taste different.
Great, that's a great fact. Let's get another one.
Eggs are different sizes.
That's a really good one. So eggs are different sizes?
Yes, they are, and eggs come in all different shapes and sizes. And what we find is when chickens are very young, they'll lay small, little tiny eggs. And as the chickens get older, they lay bigger and bigger and bigger eggs. So when you go to the supermarket and you buy little eggs, then you get them from really little, so young chickens, and then the bigger the egg, normally they come from the older girls we've got on the farm.
That's great. Okay, lovely. Let's get one more fact from Surrey Square Primary.
You can boil eggs, you can cook, you can fry eggs, and you can poach eggs. And I like scrambled eggs and waffles.
Fantastic, that's so good. So you can cook eggs in lots of different ways, but their favourite is scrambled eggs, or that little boy's favourite is scrambled eggs.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Scrambled eggs are fantastic. Mine's poached.
There's so many different ways, isn't there? You
So
never
many
get
different
you
ways,
never
yeah.
get bored. Well,
No.
we had a great fact there, JP, about the yolk of an egg. So can we take a look inside an egg and see the different parts?
Okay, so if I crack this one open, I'm going to swap that for that one because I think that's a better egg. But if I crack the egg open. Wow, aren't we lucky? It
Wow.
looks like this one's a double yolker.
I don't think I've ever seen a double yolker in all my life.
So we can see here, so we've got the yolk. So the yolk is a nice, rich, dark colour, and that's where most of the nutrients are, and that's what gives the yolk that lovely colour. And then outside, what we call this, the technical name is albumen, but everyone knows it as white. And you can tell how fresh an egg is by how high the white is. So if you crack an egg out and it spreads across your pan, you know that's a lot older. The higher the albumen is, the fresher the egg.
Okay, so you kind of need to sort of get
If
down
you
to
get down
the plate
low, you
size
can
and
measure it.
things.
We can tell it on the farm how fresh they are by measuring the height of that. So we
Wow.
can work it out.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that at all. Thank you so much, JP. I think now we should learn a little bit more about the lovely ladies that actually lay the eggs. Now, unfortunately, children, we couldn't bring a chicken inside here, but we do have a lovely, very realistic model to introduce you to. Who's this, JP?
I haven't named her yet. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring a chicken into the factory because obviously we need to keep it nice and clean and everything like that.
Yeah.
So we've got the next best thing, which is this nice fluffy chicken here.
Now, she looks quite happy. Is she quite healthy?
Yes, healthy is the key, I think, and it's the same as any animals you look after at home. When you have a pet, you have to look after them to the best of your ability. So on the farm, we're always making sure that the chickens are always healthy and always happy.
Do you look at their feathers? Is that a good indication?
Yeah, feathers are really important, so nice glossy feathers. A lot of our chickens go outside at home and we plant lots of trees, and they like to dust bathe a lot, and they do that to keep all their feathers lovely and clean. So in the summer, especially when it's nice and dry outside, you see all loads of these chickens outside dust bathing. It looks fantastic.
I love it. We spend most of our life having baths and washing off mud and dust, and then chickens decide to roll in it and it keeps them clean.
Yeah, it does.
That's great. And you mentioned that your chickens kind of lays under the trees and have a wander around, but they're not always kept outside the whole time, are they?
No,
chickens
are kept in all sorts of different sort of types of environment, and yeah, some spend more time outside, some less. But and loads of people have chickens in their back gardens. They're everywhere. Everywhere you go, you find lots and lots of chickens now.
Oh, it's fantastic. Imagine having a chicken in your back garden. You could have a little wander down in the morning and grab an egg, and you could have a boiled egg or a poached egg within minutes. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, the other things we look at, obviously, the birds comb and wattle, so we're looking at the colour of these.
Yeah.
We want them to be nice and red, and that tells you, whether the bird's healthy.
What are these bits for? It's a comb and wattle. What are they
so the
for?
comb's the bit on the top and the wattle's the bit underneath.
Yeah.
Now, chickens don't sweat like us, so that it's much harder for them to sort of maintain their body temperature. So they actually pump blood into those, and that's what keeps them so they can cool themselves up and down by using their combs and wattles.
That's so clever,
Yeah.
so clever. And do chickens have different personalities, or are they all sort of the same?
Definitely. The lads on the farm, they all have their favourite chickens. We all have our favourite chickens. Obviously, we don't name them all because we have 14,000, but definitely some birds that are real characters. And that's the fantastic thing about looking after chickens, is they're all such brilliant characters, really, inquisitive and fantastic animals to look after.
Great. And what do they eat and drink?
Okay,
We talk about what we eat and drink. We love eggs, but what do they have?
We feed our birds a layers mash, and this is a sort of some of it here. And basically, this is wheat and lots of other ingredients, mainly wheat and sort of cereal-based diet. And in there is all the nutrients a bird needs and a chicken needs. Obviously, out on the farm, the birds have got to look after themselves, so they need to eat lots of good energy because they've got to produce an egg, they've got to maintain their feathers, they've got to keep themselves warm, and this lovely food will help them to do that. And a chicken will eat about 125 grams of that a day. So on our farm, we get through 14 tonnes of chicken food every week.
Well, that's a full-time job feeding the chickens, then,
It is.
isn't it?
It
really
is. It's a lot of food. It definitely is. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm absolutely fascinated, and I'm sure the children are fascinated by everything we're learning. I think we may have some questions for you now, JP, though, because we have learned so much. Let's go over to Downsbrook Middle School now and see if we have any questions.
When the bird lays the egg, does it have an effect on its behaviour?
That's a really great question. So when a bird lays an egg, JP, does it have an effect on its behaviour at all?
Yes, it does. I mean, chickens, we have lovely nest boxes in all of our chicken houses, which are nice and dark and quiet areas, and chickens love to go to those areas to lay their eggs. And you can hear them, they get in there and they settle down. It's like a little quiet area for them. And they lay their eggs, and they normally take about half an hour, you know, to just be in there, get settled, lay the egg and then come out. So it's about half an hour, and each individual bird will spend about that time of day and lay the eggs into that lovely little clean nest box.
Great, that's a really great question. Let's get another one from Downsbrook Middle School.
Why are the same types of bird eggs different shapes and sizes?
That's a really great question. So why does the same bird lay different shapes and size eggs?
Okay, so again, you know, different birds, the bird will lay, as when it's younger, a small egg, and as the bird gets older, the eggs get bigger. So that's normally the main difference. But different sorts of chickens, so again, you know, ducks and geese and quail and all that sort of birds lay different sorts of eggs, and different breeds of chicken mean that the eggs are different. Great,
fantastic. And as I said, we have Russell Scott watching and learning with us too as well. And I have a question from Miss Higgins' class. So how many chickens do you have on your farm, and how many eggs do they lay?
Okay, so I've got 14,000 chickens on the farm, and they will lay about 13,500 eggs a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot of work, and we've got about 4 guys that spend the day and they go around and collect. They look after the chickens, but they go around and collect the eggs. So yeah, it's a lot of work, and then we take, once we've collected them, we put them into these quad bikes, and then we drive them down and put them into our central egg store on the farm, ready to be picked up by the lorries.
Brilliant. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's good fun. It's good fun, especially when it's snowing, and you know, it's good fun on the quad bikes. Very good fun, yeah.
Talking of lots of fun, we're going to get inside and take a look at what happens to the eggs next, aren't we? Very, very shortly.
Yes.
First up, though, here's our first video, a really short video, all about eggs. Enjoy.
What is an egg? It's not just birds that lay eggs. Reptiles, fish, and amphibians can too. For these creatures, laying eggs is the way they reproduce. An egg is always laid by the female. Some eggs will be fertilised by a male and will hatch into a baby animal or bird. But lots of eggs aren't fertilised, which means a baby animal won't develop. These eggs are the ones we can cook and eat for breakfast or dinner. Most of the eggs that we eat come from chickens. But we also eat other kinds of eggs too, such as quail, duck, goose, and ostrich eggs. In the UK, the eggs we eat come in different sizes: small, medium, and large. The size of the egg is different depending on how old the hen is. The younger the hen, the smaller the eggs. Eggs also come in lots of different colours, from brown to white to blue to copper. The egg and the hen are most often the same colour. So the eggs at this farm are all different shades of brown, because they've been laid by brown chickens. Eggs are formed inside the hen over a period of about 25 hours. First, the yolk develops. It sits in the centre of the egg and contains vitamins, minerals and protein. Next, the egg white is formed. The egg white sits around the yolk. It's made mostly from water, but also contains proteins. The last part of the egg to form is the outside, or shell, which takes about 21 hours. The eggshell is made from a material called calcium carbonate, and its job is to protect the yolk inside. On this farm, the hens lay an egg every 27 hours, which means that one hen can lay a whopping 300 eggs every year.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that video. Now, as you can see, we've moved to a different part of the packing centre now. There's so much going on in here. There's machines, there's people packing eggs. It's a really, really great place to be. And JP, what is happening?
Okay, so we were in the store, so all the eggs come in from the farm. They were in the room that we were just in. So now we're into the actual packing. This is the heart of the packing centre. So what happens here is the eggs come from the store, they come along through this big machine behind us, which we're going to have a closer look at, and basically that will look at every single egg and check whether it's okay, measure the size of it, and then work out where it needs to go, and make sure it ends up in the correct box. And then those boxes go into our store at the end, and then eventually end up in all the supermarkets.
Great stuff. Can we take a look around?
Yeah,
Is that
fantastic.
Okay?
Let's go and have a look.
Brilliant. Come on. Quite exciting, this. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
I know, it's an awful lot going on here, and lots of
So
people
good.
busying themselves, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to look at eggs very differently now. That so much goes into
Oh,
it.
amazing, yeah.
Okay, so what's happening here? It looks like they are coming from the room we were just in.
Okay, so we've got a really, really clever robot in there who's taking the eggs off of the pallet, and they put them onto this conveyor belt, and really all that's happening here is we're transporting the eggs, and you can see all these lovely, lovely eggs. Each one of those stacks has 180 eggs on there.
Wow.
And they're going along, and they'll go to the front of the machine where they're going to be ready to be lifted up and put into the machine, ready to be looked at.
Should we take a look?
Let's go and have a look.
Brilliant.
Okay,
This place is massive, isn't it?
yeah,
Really
it's
big.
really busy, and there's not that many people. You know, considering the amount of eggs that we get through. You can just see this machine. There's some egg trays coming back here. There's lots going on all over the place.
This looks quite exciting here, JP.
Yeah, definitely. So what we're seeing here is this machine is basically lifting the trays of eggs and then putting it onto another conveyor belt.
Wow, and they're doing it so gently as well. Like, I can't see any of the eggs getting cracked or smashed at all.
No, well obviously, you know, when you open your egg box, you want your egg to be really good, fresh and really good condition, so we need to be really careful with them. And this machine can actually pack 180,000 eggs in an hour.
Wow.
So in a whole day, we can get through 1.5 million eggs here.
That is a lot of eggs.
It is a lot of eggs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What happens to them once they've been put onto the conveyor belt? Because I can see them going off that way.
Okay, so they travel along, and then there's another machine with suckers on like this, and it will lift the eggs up and suck them and put them onto the rollers. And again, it's a really good way of moving eggs and really delicate. And you can see that going on in the background there.
Wow, that's amazing.
It
And
is.
I can see there's a bit of a flashing light going. It looks and over here. It looks like a bit of a disco.
Yeah.
If you look really carefully, there's like purple and red lights that's flashing on all the eggs.
Yeah, so this is UV, so UV light, and what that does is flashes on the egg, and that allows the machine to understand whether the eggs are dirty or contaminated. So it makes a note of all the eggs, and then later on it will take those out.
That's great. I can see some of them are coming out of here as well.
Yes, the
that
eggs
aren't
fall
good.
out of the chute, so they're any liquid egg or anything with a crack in it or leaking comes out and falls out the chute there.
Great, fantastic. And so they're all on a very little special conveyor belt now. They're all nice and straight. What happens now?
Okay, so the machine's laid all the eggs in the right direction, so they're all pointing in the same direction. And then it goes through this very, very, very clever machine here. So this is our crack detector. So this machine will work out whether the eggs are cracked, and what it does is it taps every egg 16 times every second. And then it listens, and if the shell makes a dull sound, it knows it's cracked. If it rings, like a tuning fork or a triangle that you play at school, then you know that it's a good egg, and that's how the machine knows.
So clever.
Brilliant.
So what would we do
Absolutely
without all these
brilliant.
machines?
I know. It would take a lot longer. So we're going to dip underneath here now.
Okay. So we're near the final process, are we now? The final part?
Yeah, we're getting towards the end. So what we've seen is the machine, with the eggs coming in, we've seen the machine picking them up and loading them. The machine's looked at every single egg, made sure that it's not cracked, that it's clean and it's ideal. It then comes through and we print a little label onto the egg that you can see when you buy an egg. And then this is the best bit. It knows how heavy it is, what sort of egg it is, and then it decides in which lane it's going to put the egg. So along this lane, there's all different size eggs, different boxes that go into different shops. So yeah, really, really clever bit now.
So clever. I'm guessing if we get up high, we can see lots of what's going on.
If we go up
can't
the ladder, you'll get a really good view right the way across the packing centre, and you can see what's going on.
Okay, so even though there's lots of machines doing lots of work, there's still quite a few people that have to run the machines and do stuff by hand
yeah.
too.
Yeah, make sure all the eggs come in and go in the proper places. So we've got people here who are loading by hand into boxes, but we've also got some very clever machines behind us that are robots that pack them and put them onto pallets.
Fantastic. JP, thank you so much for showing us around. How
No
exciting
problem.
was that? I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that again.
I know, it's
I
very
think we may
clever.
have some questions for you now.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
You've shown us so much. So let's go over to St Anne's Denton Primary School and see if you have any questions for JP.
How many eggs does each hen lay a day?
That's fantastic. So how many eggs does a hen lay each day, JP? That's a really good
Okay,
question.
so a hen will lay an egg, one egg every 27 hours. So what they normally do is they'll lay a clutch, so we call it a clutch, but they can lay an egg for 20 days and then have a day off.
Oh.
So it works like that. So I normally get 95% of my birds are laying an egg every day, and every chicken will lay about 325 eggs for me in its lifetime.
That's a lot of eggs.
It's an awful lot of eggs.
Yeah,
They're
a
very
lot of
clever
eggs.
things.
Great question. Let's get another question from St Anne's Denton Primary.
What would happen if the eggs weren't collected?
That's a really great question. So what happens if the eggs aren't collected, JP? Do the hens continually lay eggs or do they
Yes.
stop?
No, they do. They'll keep laying, so it's really important that we want our eggs to be as fresh as possible, so we collect them every day. If we didn't collect them from the chicken sheds, the chickens just keep laying eggs on top of each other. So yeah, we make sure we get them out, we get them to here and to the shops as soon as we possibly can, so they're nice and fresh and fantastic product for everyone to eat.
Lovely, nice work. Great questions. Let's go to Manor Green Primary School now to see if Miss Metcalfe's class have any questions for JP.
How do you know if you kill it or if it doesn't?
That's a really great question. So how do you know, JP, when you've got an egg, whether it will turn into a chicken or whether it will stay like the egg that you can eat?
Okay, so the eggs we eat aren't fertile, so we won't get any chicks out of them. So we don't have any cockles in with our chickens, so that all the eggs that we have coming into here, there's no cockles in with the hens, so all of them are unfertile and are fantastic for eating.
Great, that's a really good way of knowing then,
Yeah,
obviously. Let's get another question. Let's go back over to Manor Green Primary School.
What happens when a chicken can't produce any more eggs?
That's a really great question. So what happens, JP, when a chicken can't lay eggs anymore?
Okay, so when a chicken's finished laying, it's taken away and made into food for us to eat.
Fantastic, great questions everybody. And we've also got one last question from Russell Scott Primary as well, who are watching and learning with us today. They'd like to know the most interesting part of your job, JP.
Okay, well I don't know about the most interesting, but my favourite part is the morning. Getting up in the morning, letting the birds out. I get to go around, make sure all the chickens are happy. And when it's a lovely summer's morning, it couldn't be in a better place.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Being outside with nature.
Exactly.
That's
love
fantastic.
It. Absolutely love it.
Well, we've loved being in here. Thank you so much, JP. I don't
No
think many
problem.
people get to take a look at somewhere like this. It's time for our next video now, and this will show you the entire journey of an egg, from when it's laid on the farm to when it reaches your local store.
Eggs, from the nest to you. On this farm, the hens have special nest boxes inside the hen house. This is where the hens lay their eggs, and these hens lay roughly one egg every day. Once the hen has laid her egg, it rolls gently onto this special conveyor belt, where it's taken to the pack house. At the pack house, every egg is stamped with the farm identification number to see which farm it has come from. You can type these numbers into this website to find out exactly which farm it has come from. They are then packed by hand into large trays and loaded very carefully onto a lorry like this. Next, they are taken to the packing centre. At the packing centre, the eggs are checked for quality by this machine, which can see any tiny cracks on the shell. It also spots if there are any eggs which are dirty or misshapen. These eggs are still good to eat, so they are taken away to be used as an ingredient in lots of different foods. Once they have been checked, the eggs are stamped again, this time with a best before date and this symbol, called a British lion. When you see this mark on an egg, it means that it's fresh and good to eat. It also means that the hen that laid it has been well looked after. Next, the eggs are packed into boxes according to size. Usually they're packed into boxes of 6, 10, or 12 eggs. 12 eggs is sometimes called a dozen. The eggs are then ready to start their journey to your local store. By the time they reach the shop, the eggs will be 2 to 3 days old and ready to be boiled in a pan and enjoyed with soldiers for your tea.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that. Now, we've learned a lot about chickens and the eggs they produce as well, but it's not just chickens that produce eggs, is it, JP?
Definitely
There's lots of other birds, and we have some amazing examples here of different birds' eggs and the birds that lay them. And children, I know you've got lots of eggs in your classrooms as well, so this is a great time to pass them around and take a little look. And can you talk us through some of these, JP?
Okay, so yeah, like I said earlier, 99.5% of all the eggs in the UK we eat are from chickens. And we've got a chicken here, and again you can see the chicken eggs. And an interesting fact that we need to talk about is every egg is marked with a lion, which means it's kept to the best possible, conditions. And also
great.
On the top of an egg is a code, and that is every farm has its own code. So if you find out what your code is, you can actually look at what farm the eggs come from.
Wow.
So it's traceable, to every farm. So that's fantastic.
Amazing. And so what do we have here then, JP?
Okay, so again, duck eggs. So we eat a lot of duck eggs, and again, they're fantastic, really nice to eat, much creamier and richer in flavour. And again, you can use them in lots and lots of different recipes.
Right. And am I right in thinking there's a sort of a relationship between the colour of the bird and the colour of their eggs?
Yeah, it's quite similar. A lot of birds, dappled birds like the quail, obviously have dappled eggs. White chickens and white birds tend to lay white eggs. Yeah, so you can actually get brown chickens that lay white eggs. So it doesn't always work, but normally that's the case. Yeah.
They like to fool us sometimes, don't they?
They do indeed. So then, if we move on up in size, we have our goose. So a goose egg, again, a nice rich egg, very similar to a duck egg, but just bigger. And goose eggs, again, if you get the opportunity to eat a goose egg, really, really nice, lovely egg. And then quails, so quail eggs. So little quails are sort of like little wild birds, and really nice, rich flavour to the egg. And the quail eggs, you can see they're all mottled and a lovely sort of weird-looking shell. And the idea is quails actually live in undergrowth. So the mottling is to camouflage the egg. So if the bird leaves the nest, nobody can spot where the eggs are.
So clever, isn't it?
It is,
and they're
yeah.
so cute, those little eggs. They don't actually look like real when you look closely.
I know, little tiny. And when you peel them, it's a lot of work just to get a very little egg out of the egg.
But it's a flavour.
Fantastic.
Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
Brilliant.
Okay, and we have a giant egg here.
The giant of all eggs. And if you see our ostrich behind us, I didn't realise quite how tall they were. 1.7 metres to 2 metres.
Wow.
I wouldn't
that is
if
crazy.
I had 14,000 of those. Now that would be a handful.
That would be hard work.
I know, brilliant. And then the egg. Again, this is a really tough egg. I think this would be a bit harder to break with your spoon for a boiled egg in the morning.
Yeah, and this is a real egg, isn't it? It's just been emptied. But this shell is so thick.
It is.
So
it is.
thick.
And it would take half an hour to soft boil that and 2 hours to a hard boiled egg.
And how long to eat it?
I know. I'd definitely be a sharer, wouldn't it?
You couldn't eat all that to yourself,
I think that
could
would be
you?
a meal, wouldn't it? It really would.
There's so many shapes and sizes
Yeah.
and different flavours. It's
Yeah.
great. So we've learned so much about eggs and the chickens that lay them and all the different birds that lay them as well. I think we should learn a little bit more about how we eat them now, JP, because we do like to eat them in all sorts of different ways, don't we?
We do. I mean, like I said, my favourite is poached, and we scramble them, we fry them. We know about we eating shell eggs, so we always breaking eggs out and eating the whole egg.
Yeah.
But we've got to remember as well, they're used in so many other products as well. So cakes and baking, and like we've got a few here, but yeah, so many different ways of using eggs.
Lovely. I like an omelette because I like to put, lots of different things in, so you can have lots of kind of vegetables in there with the egg, which makes it kind of very tasty, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I love poached. I mean, that is my favourite because the first thing in the morning, I get to go out, check the girls, and then when I come back for breakfast, I get a really nice fresh egg and
Lovely.
poach it. And I'm going to challenge all the kids out there to try a poached egg next week. All get out there, poach your
Yay.
eggs. Brilliant.
And children, you have everything you need to make yourself an omelette in your classrooms. You have all the ingredients. So if you'd like to give that a go, best of luck. And make sure, children, if you do give making an omelette a go, you have an adult with you as well, because obviously you have to put it on the gas to heat the pan up as well. And of course, eggs aren't just tasty foods, they're good for you as well. They're a good source of protein, which is good for your muscles and your bones. They're a good source of vitamin A, which keeps your eyesight nice and healthy, and a good source of vitamin D as well, which makes your immune system nice and strong. Yeah. Well, we've almost come to the end of this online field trip, I'm afraid, but just enough time to go over to our schools and find out what you have learned. So let's head over to Downsbrook Middle School to find out what Mrs. Sharp's class have learned.
One of the things we found out today is that you can tell how fresh an egg is due to how high the white is.
Fantastic. So they've learned how fresh an egg is by how high the white is.
Yeah, really good fact, really good fact.
That's
yeah.
brilliant.
And also, when you drop an egg in water, if it floats, it means it's not very fresh. If it sinks to the bottom, the fresher it is. So the further down if it floats on the top, it's not as fresh as if it sinks.
That's really, really great fact, really good. Let's go to St Anne's Denton Primary School now to find out what you've learned.
Next, we have all eggs line. Also, chickens eaten in different places can change the flavour of the eggs.
Oh, that's great. So what the chicken eats changes the flavour of the egg?
Yeah, so if they're out on the range, sometimes you get a much richer yolk, and then different coloured yolk as well, from grass and things like that they pick up outside, and that can change the flavour. And obviously the different breeds and different types of egg taste very different.
Lovely jubbly, that's a great fact. Let's get another fact from what you learned from Manor Green Primary School now.
I've learned that chickens lay eggs every day.
That's a great fact that they've learned. That they've learned that chickens lay eggs every day, JP.
Yes, every single day, one every 27 hours. So normally 20 or 30 days, and then they'll have a day off.
Fantastic, that's great. You've obviously learned a lot. I think finally, before we go, JP, we should just take a little look at some of the other foods that have eggs, because we have got lots of lovely foods here, haven't we? Some that I didn't realise that contain eggs. So what do we have?
So we always think about eggs, the ones you break out and you have your eggs in the morning, and you always think about that. But there's loads of other things that have eggs in, and a lot of the eggs that are produced go into making these things. So one of the big things is mayonnaise. So mayonnaise is mostly egg and oil. That's what goes into making it. So we use a lot of eggs in mayonnaise production. And again, very similar with custard, one of my favourites. Mm-hmm. So again, when you're making custard, you've got your eggs and your yolks in there, and then you add the cream and whisk it all up, and that's, keep it warm. Lovely, lovely custard.
And one of my favourites here.
Meringues, yeah. So meringues, obviously we take the yolk out, and then you're just left with the white of the egg, mix it with sugar, and then bake it, and then lovely sweet meringues.
So good. And pasta, I never realised had eggs in.
Yeah, so the colour of the yolk colour is what makes pasta yellow. The eggs that we use to make pasta have a really rich dark yolk colour, which gives them the yellow taint.
Wow, fantastic. And then of course pastry, we wouldn't be able to have our cakes
and
our crumbles and everything that we love.
Yeah, where would we be without pastry? And again, I think if you're at home and you're baking, I always say if you keep a dozen eggs in the fridge, you can make omelettes, you can have a fry up, you can do whatever you like, you can bake something, they're just so versatile.
fantastic. There's always something you can cook, it is.
Exactly.
And thank you so much, JP, and thank you so much, children. We hope you've really enjoyed this field trip all about eggs. I know we've learned a lot today. If you'd like to take part in our next online field trip, you can do that. It's on the 26th of February, which is a Thursday. We're going to be in Northamptonshire learning all about breakfast cereal this time. So pop that in your diary. And don't forget, if you'd like to take part in a Farm to Fork school field trip, then you can do that. Everything you need to know is on the website, and you can have lots of fun just getting your hands dirty and getting stuck right in, just like the children that you can see on the screen right now. It really is lots of fun. But it's goodbye from myself and JP here at the Egg Packing Centre. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much, children.
Bye.
Goodbye, Surrey Square Primary School. Thank you so much for taking part. Goodbye, Downsbrook Middle School.
Goodbye, Downsbrook.
Goodbye, St Anne's Denton Primary. And goodbye, Manor Green Primary School. And goodbye, Russell Scott School as well. Thank you so much all for taking part.
Cheerio.